Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. Sean Woodland, Tommy Marquez. We've got Lauren Khalil in the beautiful state of New York. And we're going to have Justin Medeiros coming up here pretty soon. Lauren, how you doing?
I am fantastic. It's good to be home for a day and a half, and then I'm on the road again.
Fantastic. Tommy, doing well? I know that you and I have both suffered some losses on Sunday.
We have.
Mine much uglier than yours.
Yours is ugly.
You got to be. That was a rock fight. It was like two clowns beating each other up. It was not good.
And then I honestly felt like me and my dad both got done with the Eagles-Cowboys game, and I was like, I don't know if it was better to win or lose that one. You know,
here's the thing: the rematch in Dallas. I think if that game's in Dallas, you probably win.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think Eagles fans feel pretty fortunate that they walked away with the win after that one. Let's just say that.
We got a lot to get to. We're gonna bring Justin on here in just a second. He's actually backstage. Put that in air quotes. Eating lunch, so he's fueling up.
Got to fuel up.
Yeah. So what? But first, before we get to him, we want to thank our new sponsor for today. That is these great folks, Momentous. They have some fantastic supplements. They sent us some stuff. I've been using the protein, the creatine, some of the recovery stuff. I know you've been using the recovery stuff. Mm-hmm. Lauren's got that PR lotion, which actually did lead to a PR, right? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. We love PRs in the gym, and the PR lotion made me feel exactly how I needed to get a heavy bench press.
And look, with all the BS that is out there in the supplement world, you can trust Momentous as the premium on the market. And here's why. Because Momentous and Dr. Andrew Huberman, you may have heard his podcast, Huberman Labs.
Great podcast.
Yeah, he has some awesome conversations. They have collaborated to develop products and protocols designed to optimize mental health, physical health, and performance in all aspects of life. With 150 plus professional and college teams, that's when you know it's good, when the pros are signing on.
Yep.
Use their products, and they have contracts with the U.S. military. Momentous has proven itself as an industry leader that creates best-in-class human performance supplements. So this is how you can get on board. Go to livemomentous.com. Use the code ELITE for 15% off anything.
Love
it. livemomentous.com. Use the code ELITE for 15% off. And during the show, we'll just leave a QR code up if you're watching this on YouTube that you can use.
So I actually just started trying their brain drive, so I hopefully can, I don't know, be a little bit sharper.
Well, that's going to be tough. I feel like you are the brains of this organization.
I feel like, was that Abby Normal?
Abby Normal, what's that?
It's a Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's an old. I know that's a deep reference to a Goldfinger track on their first CD, I think. So
when he sends Igor to go get a new brain for
Abby
the monster,
Normal.
and he's like, Abby something, Abby Normal.
Anyway, check them out. livemomentous.com. Use the code ELITE. I love their stuff, man. Super clean. I've been using it after my workouts and my post-workout snack at night that Dave Lipson from Thunderbro allows me to have because I'm going to get ripped and shredded.
I don't know, man. You're popping the
Wex and I are going to have a flex off after this.
That shirt does make your arms look big, Sean.
Well, thank you. Go on.
Very defined today.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm working on it. Try to eat right, do all the good things. So here, pop this up there. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's bring in the former two-time fittest man on earth, our good friend, Justin Medeiros. Justin, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How about you guys yourself?
We're doing fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. I know that you're heading out of town. Where does this podcast find you today?
I'm in Boise, just hanging out at home. Actually, after the games, just the goal is to limit as much travel as I can, and I've only traveled once since the games, so it's been pretty nice. I went out to Rogue last weekend, and that was the first time I've traveled. So I bought this house last year, and I feel like I was traveling so much, never really got to enjoy it. I have an awesome training set up here, never got to really dial it in. So just been nice kind of being here, training, having fun. It's been real good.
That's
have
where
you
the
decorated
shred
yet?
is. Oh yeah. Oh. I have a feeling he's not in charge of that. I think
has
an
Ellie
Ellie
come over and has she decorated? Is she decorating for the holidays? All of those things.
Yeah, she's in charge of the house, and I'm in charge of the gym. I'm in there. I bought a super nice Dyson vacuum and this floor mop, and I'm vacuuming every day in the gym, and I don't do much to keep the house tidy. So it's a give and take.
That's a key to a good relationship. Know your role, know your lane, stay in it. Let one person be in charge. That's fantastic. Let's talk about your offseason. You have not competed at all? Usually we'd see you competing at Rogue and then maybe taking the rest of the offseason off as you go into 2024. Why make the decision to sort of shut it down for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely a tough decision. One that I even I know with the Rogue invites got sent out pretty close after the games. Wasn't sure if I was doing it. Reached out to Katie and Bill from Rogue and asked if I could get an extension about the deadline for me to decide if I was going to do it. Just wanted to have a couple weeks of training back under my belt to kind of see how the body was feeling. And by all means, I could have competed. I just don't think I would have been at my best. And that's kind of how I felt at the games. And I just, after that performance at the games, man, I don't want to step out onto the competition floor ever again, not feeling like I can win. And me and the team made that tough decision of just being you know what, short-term sacrifice for a long-term reward. And it was a really tough decision, but I think it was super tough to be at Rogue and watch everyone compete and not be out there. But at the same time, I don't regret that decision because I'm feeling really, really good right now.
You mentioned stepping out on the floor and not feeling like you could win. Is that ultimately, in retrospect, kind of how you felt at the games? And I know you also mentioned travel as well, but was there anything that now that you've reflected and had that time at home that you're like, oh, okay, man, we got to adjust this?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, hindsight's always 20/20. And I think you talk to any games competitor, it's never a smooth road leading into the games. It's very rare for someone to have oh my God, the past 3 months of training have gone better than any training's ever gone before. And there's always it's an up and down road. But so I'm not going to pretend I'm the only one that was feeling beat up going into the games. I'm sure there was tons of guys that were feeling that way too. But that is just kind of I think there was a bunch of little things that kind of mounted up for me before the games and going into the games to where I just didn't feel like I was at my best. So just trying to do what I can to kind of make sure that's in my control the best it can be.
So was there ever a moment that you thought about pulling yourself out from the games, just knowing that you didn't feel like yourself, that this wasn't the performance that you knew you could give?
No, never. I mean, I think obviously there was a lot of frustrating performances where I just didn't feel like it was myself. And it's easy to say after you win. I've won the games. Honestly, my first 3 years at the games have gone way better than I could ever have dreamed of, but I have 2 quotes up at the wall at my gym that my best is enough and my confidence comes through my preparation. And as long as I can check those 2 boxes, I can't be mad with the performance out there. And I think there's just certain events where I just felt like I couldn't give it my best. And it wasn't even sometimes the placing on the leaderboard. It was just how I felt in the middle of the events where it was just this feels off, and there's no excuse for that, everyone's got to be ready and be prepared, but just kind of how it was.
When you go back and kind of do a debrief and sort of a post-mortem of all this stuff, were you able to put your finger on, okay, this is why I went through those things at the games that I hadn't really experienced in the past? And if so, what were they?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely not a single thing. And I think that was kind of the hardest thing to kind of think about, because it wasn't even going into it, it was oh, this happened, I'm nervous for the games kind of thing. It was just I'm off, and there's and I wasn't really sure why or how or anything like that. And I think just talking to the team after the games was able to kind of identify some of those things. And I think just having certain things pop up in training leading into the games. And I think going into the games, I had what I was dealing with under control. It wasn't I couldn't run fast because of an injury I had or anything like that. But I think just I wasn't prepared to do what I could because I had to manage so many things in my training leading in.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because I think that reflects a lot of what people felt in the moment. I think to the second event out and the first one out on the North Park,
Mm-hmm.
I think the collective CrossFit world was looking at you and just didn't know what was off, but you could feel that something was off. Whether it was the breaks and having to, and almost feeling like the heat. I don't know. To me, it felt like we could feel the heat like beating down on you in those moments as well. And I imagine that that is tough to swallow, especially someone with coming in with the pressure of trying to go for a three-peat.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that second event of the games was definitely like one of the roughest events for me that I've had, just mentally, physically, just like kind of being shocked of like, I'm not sure what's even happening right now.
Where was there a point? Like, was it immediate? Was it a couple of reps in? I had this memory. I think that was the one with wall balls.
Yeah.
I think they cut to you and we saw you breaking up wall balls, and I was like, I do that, not Justin. Like something's off. Was there an internal switch that flipped where you're like, yeah, okay, this is, or was it even during warmups maybe?
I wouldn't have said it was like a switch. Like I didn't feel like at any point like I gave up, you know? Like I will honestly say, no matter how I did that workout going into that event, like I think I got the best result that I could, like given the circumstances. Like I wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to win the games, I'm giving up, you know, like that was not the plan whatsoever. And I think just kind of after that first event, I was in a really, really big hole. And I think in that second event, I kind of realized how big of a hole I'm in, kind of thing, coming off of it, just like how the body was feeling. I mean, I think there is obviously the mistakes going into the games, but the mistakes just on that day one with fueling and nutrition and nerves and all those things that every athlete has to handle, I just didn't do a good job of handling.
Is there something that you tell yourself in those moments? I just think of like if I'm at the gym and I'm training and it's a really bad workout, the thing that I repeat in my head is, you have hurt worse before. And that's what kind of keeps me going. Do you have some kind of phrase or something that you tell yourself to get through some of those challenging moments where you don't feel like yourself?
Oh, there's a lot of things that go through your head in the heat of those workouts. A lot of them I probably shouldn't say out loud, but I think just like the encompassing like view of it is that like my best will be enough, you know. And I think I've had moments like that in previous games where it looks like it's slipping away, but if I've learned anything is if I'm giving my best in every single workout, at the end of the weekend, I'll be proud of the performance, you know? And I think in those moments is that's all what's going through my head. Like make sure that whatever placement you get in this workout, you know that it was your best, you know? So that's just kind of that thought process.
You mentioned the early success that you had at the games, you know, your debut and then winning back to back. And I think as a result, and I don't know how it was for you, but I think externally the expectations for you were just sky high, is that Justin's going to show up and he's going to win. As you look back on that, you know, what effect really did those like expectations and everybody saying that, oh, you know, you got to win or you're not living up to what we think you are. How if at all did that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely hard, you know. I mean, I never got into CrossFit of like the goal to win the CrossFit games, you know. I thought it'd be really cool to qualify, like a cool like bucket list kind of check mark thing while I was in college of like, man, it'd be super cool to qualify for the CrossFit games, you know. And then that didn't mean I wasn't going to train like I'm going to win, you know. Like, I mean, I was trying to do the best I could in every single event and get everything I could out of my fitness. I just didn't think that like I could win the games, you know. Like there's only a select few, and especially at that time, I mean, you just came off of Rich Froning and you had Matt Frazier, and it was just like those guys are a whole nother level. And even after that first year, like I got third, I was like, when I think about the third fittest man in the world, like I'm not even remotely in that picture, you know. Like you think of like Pat Vellner and these guys that have been on the podium over and over again, but I think that was just kind of like the hardest thing. And even those next 2 years was just like, hey, I'm just trying to like prove it to myself that like I belong here, you know? And obviously the result was on top of the podium. And then going into this year, everyone's talking about it's like win or bust, you know? And I think it got to me a little bit. I think it's hard because I love training so much that I just want to go out there and work hard, and like I'll know that like my best is enough. And I think I let the result get to me just a little bit, even though I told myself that it wasn't. But I think it's hard. I mean, I think everyone deals with that, whether they want to say it or not, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know, like this is just off the cuff, but sometimes we can pretend like one off performance, it's like we're burying someone, right? You know, it's like you finished 13th at the games, and for most people that's a career best. And it seemed like at some point or some level, people are like, oh my God, it like the sky is falling to some extent. And it's like, yeah, you didn't feel like yourself, and then you still finished, you know, in the top 15 in the world. That's like pretty incredible in retrospect. But is there any like is there any less pressure now? Do you feel less pressure, or if so, is it just different? Because obviously there's pressure once you're at the top to maintain that spot. You have this off year, so to speak. Do you feel different?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really cool to listen to everybody talk about my performance and say,
So
why
you
I
do
did bad.
listen.
Oh, for sure. I love it. I listen as much as I possibly can. I love it when people talk, man. I think it's interesting to listen to. Like I'm pretty like secure in myself. Like I got a lot of hate for the video I put out after the games, and it's like, hey man, I'm just talking about what I'm going through. I know a lot of people go through a lot of things, and if I can help, awesome, you know, but this is kind of me. This is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do. But to listen to everyone doubt, man, I think hate is like such good fuel. Like I love it. You know, I think it's something that's like you think about in your training when someone doubts you. Like if you crumble and be like, man, they're right. You know, like I think that's definitely not the way to go about it. But kind of like have that mentality to prove people wrong. Like to me, it's a win-win scenario. Like you can only win in that scenario. Like you're like, it's a good feeling, I guess.
Mm-hmm. With that in mind, we got this question in the comments about changing your training. We talked to Brent Fikowski about always having to evolve the way he prepares. So now that you've had your first, like, and I don't even want to call it a down year, but your first year where, maybe you didn't live up to your expectations. How, if at all, do you change the way that you now are going to prepare for 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to say. It's not like the first 3 years, like with the first, like it's not like I just kept doing the same things to get the high result. Like every single year we're changing things up, adding new things, trying to evolve and like stay ahead of that curve, you know? And like, I think the thing that was hardest for me to swallow, like after the games was that, like, there's no doubt in my mind that like Adam's doing everything he can. There's no doubt that Jesse, my other coach, is doing everything he can. There's no coach that Daniel, like one of my best friends, my agent, like Ellie, my family, like they're doing everything they possibly can to make sure that I succeed, you know? And there's no doubt that they're doing that. So then if they're doing everything they can and now I didn't get the result, it's like, well, who's to blame now? I put that on myself, you know, because I believe in the team around me and I know that they're going to have me prepared. So I think just wrapping my head kind of around that of what possibly to do, but kind of to sometimes like it's competition, it's sport, you know, like things happen. And I think just like how you bounce back is going to kind of determine things. And I think I've never questioned the team I have around me, and I'm just stoked that we get to keep doing what we're doing.
So you said you weren't necessarily ready or didn't feel ready to compete at Rogue. How are you feeling now? How has training been from, after the games up until now, almost the holiday season?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually been going really good. I felt a lot better than I thought I would come Rogue time. I think that's what kind of made it so hard, is I felt like I could have done like really well. But obviously like I don't know if I would have felt that way, if I did like the volume to be prepared to compete at Rogue, like I needed to take that step back in volume to make sure that my body was healthy. And honestly, I felt great. Like I feel really good right now. I feel super healthy, and certain parts of my fitness are better than they ever been. Obviously, there's other things that are behind the curve, but it feels good to kind of still be able to really push hard in training and see things in my training right now that I feel like are better than they've ever been.
How does a powerlifting meet factor into that? Because I know you're doing a powerlifting meet, and I saw that 620 sumo pull that you ripped off the floor.
Hey.
Where did that come into the picture? How did that come about? And how's that training been? Because I imagine it's been pretty fun.
Oh, it has been, and I think I don't think it's like he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. I mean, my coach Jesse. I mean, we've been with him since the 2020 games. Right after the 2020 games, I started working with him to kind of try to get my strength numbers up. And like in the off season, I do 4 sessions a week with him. In season, I do 3 sessions a week with him. And that's just kind of like what we've done for the past 3 years. Obviously it's like the conjugate system, like, which is powerlifting, in general is kind of the core of our strength training. And I've never done a competition or anything like that. And, if anybody kind of follows along, they know that, my camera guy, one of my best friends, Dallas, he's really freaking strong. And, he's always been that strong guy that like is in the gym. He comes in every once in a while and just can like deadlift 500 pounds and squat a freaking house, like all the time, but he doesn't really train, you know? And he decided to kind of hop on the training that I'm doing, and has been hitting that hard for the past 2 years probably now. And his numbers have just kind of like skyrocketed, you know, like when you get like natural strength with like hard work and an awesome program, like it's crazy to really see like what it is. So anyways, long story short, there's a competition here, just local in Boise. And Dallas was going to fly Jesse out to have Jesse here. And Jesse's like, dude, I mean, you should do the comp. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I should. That'd be super fun, you know? And yeah, I'd never done anything like that. And I think just it's been really good. Obviously, the decision not to do road was really hard, but I didn't want to have a full off season of not competing. So I think just doing something like that, it sounds really small to like most people, but like competition's competition, you know? Like you want to go out there, be prepared, be ready. And I think it gives you that fuel when you're in your training every day, like allows you to not go through the motions because you know that you got something coming up, you got someone somewhere to like show up for. And obviously that fuel of people talking about what numbers they think I'm going to hit. Also, that's been pretty
question.
good.
Yeah, that was going to be mine. Is what are your goals to hit for it?
Yeah. What are the numbers?
You'll see.
Hear.
Oh, you'll see.
That's what
you'll
I'm
see.
talking about.
Give us a range. Give us
At least something. Sumo or traditional? Well, do we know?
I haven't decided yet. I think like both of my numbers are really close, which has kind of made the decision hard. I mean, I haven't pulled a heavy conventional. I pulled that heavy sumo off the floor. But before that, like going into the cycle, both my deadlift, sumo, and conventional were within 10 pounds. And then my sumo's gone up a lot. So it's like, okay, well, I would expect my conventional to be close, you know, within perspective. But Jesse's doing a comp in 2 weeks. And if he pulls, I think 660 and under, I think I'm going to pull sumo and see if I can get him. That's kind of the goal. So we'll see how it is. I think I'm going to pull sumo. We never get to do it in CrossFit, which I think is, I mean, I think the what people think about sumo, I think is so like, I always been that guy, like, oh, why would you pull sumo? You know, like you're going to be that guy in the gym. But then you kind of talk about it. It's like, dude, we do CrossFit. It's the sport of functional fitness. Like you look at everybody like picking up the pig off the floor at the games or people picking up anything heavy off the ground, you know, like you're kind of in that sumo position already. See anybody that does like a tire flip and things like that. So it's something that we use. It's a functional movement. I think certain people are better at sumo. Certain people are better at conventional. Kind of just depends on your body type and what you are. But either way, it's like a precision lift. Like it's not just because like, okay, like if you don't pull sumo, it's like, okay, go pull sumo and tell me if you PR. Like it's probably not going to be the case. Like you got to train it. It's a skill. It's a thing that I've worked really hard on, and be able to do both is pretty fun. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to pull a sumo deadlift max in competition, just because I don't know if CrossFit will ever get down that road. So maybe I'll do it here and just let everyone guess what they think I could pull conventional. Leave that up
Okay,
for
so
speculation.
Any idea where you would have fallen at Rogue with the 1RM conventional deadlift?
Dude, I mean, who knows? I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people overlook how many lifts those guys did.
Oh man, it was
You
like
know?
the women did like 18.
So much.
It's insane. So like to say where I would be is just like it's all speculation. I think a lot of those guys could have deadlifted over 600 pounds if it was just a true 1 rep max. But man, dude, they had to do lift after lift after lift after lift. So like, I don't know too many people that max out their deadlift and they pull 15 pulls like over 90%. Like it's
getting cold,
it's insane.
and warm, and
Yeah, so it's crazy. I'm not going to make any perspective because what those guys did was awesome.
And at that point, are you like, yeah, maybe okay? I'm glad I did pull 15 at that point. Save the bag.
Oh no, it's been it's that was definitely a high volume competition. But man, those workouts look super fun.
What one would you have most wanted to do?
Man, that's a tough one. I think. I've always loved the duel. I think just like the style of that event is super unique and cool. And now I think Rogues kind of make that like a trademark event for them. I just like the execution that has to happen in those events. I think is really cool. I've done really well in those in the past. I like us all like the new things that they do. I mean, like that log muscle up is always like such a cool and unique different thing. And every time Rogue does something like that, I think it's just like awesome.
You mentioned competition is competition. Now, obviously, this is not a CrossFit competition. You still want to do well, but how does it help you kind of reset mentally going into that environment, but knowing that there is zero pressure and no expectations right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a learning experience. I mean, it's just to. I don't know of too many times besides like the CrossFit Total where you get to max out 3 lifts like all back to back to back. So I think it's going to be an interesting like skill to kind of learn, to be able to really like, I know what numbers I could hit individually, but I don't know like how much it's going to affect be able to like hit that top end on your back squat and then the top end on your bench. And then you end it with deadlift after you've done both of those. So I have no idea like how it's going to go. I've never done anything like that. The bench standard is very different than like even how I train with you pause at the bottom and they tell you like down and up. Same thing with a squat. They tell you when to come up once you've hit parallel. Like it's very different than like what we conventionally do in lifting. And even like at the top of the bench, you got to pause and then re-rack it. Like it's just a bunch of like little things to think about. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really pumped for it.
Yeah. What lessons did you learn from this past season now that you're excited to sort of apply moving forward?
Definitely learned a lot, but I think just like this, the overarching thing is just like kind of just getting back to like this, like where I am, like, and just having fun, like with training and kind of doing and kind of blocking out like expectations and all that kind of things. Like I love my team. I love what I do. And I love being able to step out on the competition floor. And I think one of the things that's so hard about competing is even like, it's awesome. Like pressure's a privilege for sure. But like, I wish I could just like walk out into like Wodapalooza to hit individual, knowing that I'm not like at peak fitness, but then everyone judges you that like, oh, he didn't even win Wodapalooza and all those things. And it's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't freaking matter. Like I'm out here to compete and like have fun and just kind of like whatever happens on the leaderboard happens. But making sure that you're putting your best foot forward when you get to the CrossFit Games, because that's ultimately like where it matters.
Yeah. What's the plan for Wodapalooza?
Doing team.
Yeah.
So I'm super pumped about that.
Along those lines, we got a question. Now, who is your Wodapalooza team?
Oh yeah.
We're doing like a team GoWod with Willie Georges and Jay Crouch.
All right.
Oh, that's a good crew right there.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. I mean, it's
GoWod, or do you have a fun name?
I think we're just going to do Team GoWod. I haven't really thought about it. The other day I was signing up because like you needed to like sign up and we're all in completely different time zones, like drastically different. Like one's 9 hours ahead, the other one's 17 hours ahead. Like it's just like all over the place. I was like making up their birthdays and shoe sizes and just like put it all in. I'm like, hopefully this is right.
Free gear.
Well, yeah. So
last couple of years, Willie's team has donned some interesting outfits. Whether it was they brought out baguettes to the floor because they were all the French team. They wore those like black and white striped things. So I don't know. Is there any preliminary talks about what you guys might do or what you might wear?
Oh, I'm sure we'll get up to something for sure. We haven't really talked about it much. Willie actually just did a powerlifting comp as well.
Which
is pretty cool. I didn't even know he was doing that. Oh yeah, I think he deadlifted 660. He benched 330.
Oh my God.
And then I forgot what he back squatted, but a lot. He's a freaking strong dude. I mean, he's retired too, so I guess that's what you get for retirement. But it's gonna be fun. I mean, those guys are super fun. I get to talk to them like in competitions and stuff. So it'd be cool to kind of do team. I haven't got to do that before, so I'm excited to kind of step out on the competition floor. Obviously, we're gonna go hard, but Wodapalooza is such a cool event. Just kind of go to have fun, but still get to work pretty hard.
Yeah. There's a lot of recency bias in this sport. So going into 2024, at least on the men's side, everyone's going to be talking about Roman, Adler, Vellner will be the big three. And, for the first time in a couple of years, you might be in the next tier or maybe under the radar. Do you like that? And if so, what's appealing about kind of flying under the radar for you?
Yeah, man, I think it's like I said, I think being the underdog's like an awesome mentality. I feel like no matter what position I'm ever in, I try to embrace that the much I can. You seek out ways to fuel yourself, and I think you might make situations up in your head that might not even be real, but if it can get you to push that extra 1%, it's all worth it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier that there was almost like this shock right after you first hit the podium. You're like, you don't see yourself as the third fittest man on earth. When you think about who that person is, and maybe it's not the person staring in the mirror, but obviously you win back-to-back years. And I imagine at some point that changes for the better, or maybe you're able to see yourself in that light. Has that also maybe taken a hit, or do you still see yourself in that same way? I'm just curious where the personal fluctuations are in terms of how you see Justin Medeiros as a person absent of a fittest on earth label.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's definitely a weird battle, because I definitely acknowledge that I've won the games, I know that, but then also when you really think about it, it's just hard, because the athlete that I feel like I was 5 years ago is not that much different than the athlete I am now, even though I know that I've made a lot, but I've never forgotten that, I feel like every time I've ever gone to the gym, I've always worked this hard, and obviously the direction and the plan has obviously evolved and gotten a lot better, but it's just crazy to think about that. I'll never forget, I have a video saved on my Instagram from you guys talking about the 2017 regional when I was the 18-year-old kid, that it was me, George Sterner, and I don't know if it was Angelo or Nick Palladino. I think it was Nick Palladino.
Yeah.
We're the three 18-year-old kids that were competing at the regionals, and it's just it's all mushed together, I guess. I feel like I worked just as hard as that kid back then, but I mean, you just stack year after year of hard work on each other and get you pretty far.
Yeah.
Well, and even recently you had posted a video of when you had started CrossFit. I don't know if it was a PR or just kind of a throwback, but you've managed to stay so humble, even with 2 titles under your belt. What do you owe that to? Was it your upbringing? I mean, we know your family, and they are amazing people, so I'm sure they have something to do with it, because they are incredible. But how do you manage to have such a good head on your shoulders with everything that you've been through, winning a title, having all of this really fame and popularity in the sport?
Yeah, no, it's still crazy. I mean, I volunteered at the games in 2015, and got to be those people on the other side of the fence, get I had pictures with Annie and Katrin and just Camille and Noah and all these guys that were there at the games, and getting starstruck, seeing Rich Froning in the elevator, and and all those things. And I think being on the other side of that, I definitely don't forget those things. And I think it's crazy when you do that, like meet and greets, and I'm always scared I'm going to show up and no one's going to be there to see me, and like you always have that kind of like fear, and you get to show up and there's a huge line of people coming to say hi, and it's like, it's unbelievable. Like it's so cool to see the support that I have. And I think at the games this year, like you kind of have that fear that like, oh, people like me because I've won, and I think it was cool to see everyone that liked me because of me. And I think the CrossFit community is super unique about that, and getting to do like the meet and greets and meeting everybody. I mean, I feel bad because it's like, I'm trying to get to everybody I possibly can. So it's like, hi, hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming. Get a picture, and it's like on to the next. So it doesn't seem super personal, but like all those people I appreciate so much. And it's super cool to go out there and kind of see everybody. And it's awesome to see like how much of a difference I can make in someone's day by just taking a picture with someone, And I think it's pretty cool that we get to do that in the space, especially because I know how cool it was to get a picture with Noah and Katrin. And it was just like, they were walking by and I'm like, Katrin, and they like look at me, point at me, take a picture and keep going. I'm like, frick yeah. Like it's awesome, And it's just like, it takes not even a second out of her day and it freaking made my whole weekend,
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that I get to do that for some people. I know a lot of people don't really care, but people that do care, it means a lot to me.
Well, hey, you might want to keep a couple of the ones with the younger kids because you never know who they might be the next Justin Medeiros after that. So
for real.
So given how we love your family, I mean, they helped my wife break into our RV one time, so that was fantastic. They're great people, and I know you're very close with them, and I know how driven you are and how competitive you are, and I'm wondering if maybe part of the I don't want to say, I guess part of the disappointment was maybe you felt like you were letting them down this year. And if that was the case, like I'm sure they didn't feel that way, but how did you get over that, or how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I put a lot of pressure like on myself because like I want to make the people around me proud, and like I said earlier on, like there's no doubt in my mind that like Adam and Jesse and Dan, like there's so many people I'm not even naming that are in my corner. And I know they're doing everything they can to like make sure that my best foot's forward. And when the result doesn't like get achieved, like it gets put back on myself. And it's a really hard pill to swallow because I know there's so many people that do so much for me. And then like, I feel like I let them down. And I know that like, it doesn't change in their minds, but it's still like really, because obviously like, I love this. I do it because I love it and I'm grateful for it. But also like, I like to represent the people that like care for me, and that's what I feel like I do when I'm out on the competition floor. Like I feel like I'm representing everyone that helped me get to this point, and it was just a really hard pill to swallow to like look those people in the face that have done so much for me. And I felt like I let them down, even though like, I know that's not how they feel, but I still feel that way. But I think just expressing that and still seeing their support for me, I think it's just, it means like all the, like just seeing everyone that comes out to the RV, for people that have walked by my parents' RVs, like it's unbelievable the amount of people that come out to support me. I always pinch myself and it's hard to believe every year that they keep coming out, but it's really cool to kind of have those people. And that's kind of what helps keep my head right on my shoulders. And like none of those people treat me different, whether I was that kid that was trying to make a regional to the guy that's won the CrossFit Games twice, like they're going to treat me for me. And I think that's what's super cool about it.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't all, I don't know, cloudy skies at the games. You had a good final day. Like I think a little bit of that gets lost in the shuffle that, after everything that happened, like on Sunday, you started to put together some good performances. Was there anything that changed there? Was there maybe some freedom knowing that, hey, this isn't going to happen and I can just kind of pin my ears back? What allowed you to kind of basically have your, outside of the handstand walk course, have pretty much your three best finishes on the final day after a long, tough weekend like that?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a mental switch. I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on, but I think one of the main ones that happened is like just nerves, I think, got to me pretty good. I like woke up that morning, ate my breakfast as I was walking out the door, emptied my breakfast into the trash can, and then you do
Oh,
a 40-minute
no.
workout, with no fuel in you, eat it pretty good twice. And I think just like the rest of that day just felt like real loopy, just like super shaky. Like the turnaround from event 1 to event 2 was super close. I didn't like get a chance to refuel as much as I should. And like the handstand walk was a blessing in disguise, because I'm not saying that event's easy, but it's not super taxing on your like CNS. And it's more of like an execution thing, which I felt like was something that was in my control. Whereas like flipping a heavy pig and doing a bunch of wall balls is more of like a engine motor thing. And I just had nothing. And like, that's 100% on me. Everyone deals with all that stuff, but that's what happened. And I think just like even going into that handstand walk event, I mean, every time I kicked upside down and came back down, like getting a little dizzy, and then freaking doing a bunch of pullovers gets you dizzy even more. And like, there's just like a million things that are going on that everyone has to deal with. Obviously, I say that over and over again because I don't like making excuses, but it was a little rough start to the weekend. And I think I was just trying to like dig myself out of the hole and trying to recover like throughout the games, because like I said, that day 1 hit me pretty hard. And I think by day 4 or 3 or whatever it was, Sunday at the games, I feel like I was starting to get my bearings back. And I was able to finish strong. And I think that's one thing I normally do well at the games is I know I'm normally not that guy at the top of each workout, but I feel like I can get everything I can out of each workout. And even come Sunday, I'm still performing at my best, you know? And I was able to recover each day at the games, but obviously wasn't able to do it fast enough to kind of turn things around from where they started.
We've never, so correct me if I'm wrong on this, we've never seen a champion lose and then come back and win again. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
Why do you think you can break that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why no one's ever done it. I think I mean, that's all guessing. I feel like I think the reason why I think I can do it is that like I don't feel like anything's ever changed. Like I feel like I'm that same person that I was 5 years ago. You know, like I'm just going to go to the gym, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to try to be the best me that I possibly can. And I feel like when I'm at my best, like I'm pretty hard to beat. You know, and I think whatever happened at this year's games was just kind of what happens in competition, rather than like, oh, the fame got to your head, or like, oh, you made it now, and now I'm like chilling, you know? Like it wasn't because of a lack of effort and a lack of push and drive and dedication that wasn't the reason why I didn't have the performance at the games. Like that fire is still pretty hot, and arguably hotter than ever. And I think it's I'm just like excited to compete again. And I think that was one thing that I was nervous about, honestly, is like after the games, I mean, obviously it wasn't fired up, and the nerves going into any competition is just like anxiety, you know, because like you're scared to not like do what you know you can. And I'm sure that's always going to be there, but I was just really nervous about going into another competition and like being almost scared to compete. And like right now, like I just can't wait to get back on the competition floor. I think that's one thing I was nervous about after the games was like, am I going to have that fire to want to come back, or is it just kind of like, you know what, like is what it is. I'm just going to keep training. I'm going to make the games next year and kind of see what I can do. And it's not that, you know, like I'm so fired up. I want to prove everyone wrong. And I'm just excited, man. I'm really excited for this year.
He's out here trying to break the CrossFit curse.
I know.
I love it.
Do you feel like not traveling is kind of like your version of like Rocky training in the woods for Rocky 4 when he fights Drago? He like gets back to the basics, you know, like he gets rid of the nice house and all that stuff. And he's like, I got to get back home to like what made me good in the first place.
Yeah. And I think for sure, I mean, I think it's just kind of that thing of like no excuses, you know, like obviously I've always told myself that like CrossFit is number one, you know, but I also want to have like a life. Like it's not worth being however many time fittest man in the world if I didn't enjoy the process along the way. So trying to find a balance like that. And like last year, I don't regret anything I did. I don't think like that was the reason that I didn't perform well at the games. Like I said, I think there was a lot of things. There was a lot of travel last year with like injuries leading into the games, what happened on day one at the games. Like there's just a lot of things that happened. And I think just going back and kind of listing everything out, it's like, well, I can control that one. I can control that one. I can control that one. That one is what it is. And I'm just going to try to do everything I can to do what I can control. And like I always said, like my best is enough. And when that is, like, I know I'll be proud of the result. And I think that's what like was so hard about this year's games. I wasn't proud of the result. Like I remember, like, it's hard to say, like, people like, oh, well, obviously winning, you're going to be happy about it. But like, I look back, I think the best example about it was like the 2021 regional, the one where Jason beat me. I mean, I think I got third the year before. People were telling me I'm going to win the games. And then I go to my semifinal. I get third place in my semifinal. You know, it's like, how am I supposed to get on the podium again at the games if I'm getting third place in my semifinal? But like, I looked at those events and I was like, dude, I PR'd my snatch. Like Gretel is normally a tough workout for me. I like crushed that one. Like I had an event win. Like I did everything so well in that weekend that I felt like, man, that weekend couldn't have gone any better for me. And I got third, but I was stoked on it. It's like, obviously I wish I could win and I'm mad that I didn't win, but it's like, you look back and it's like, man, I did everything right. And I'm so pumped about that result. And I think just trying to do that like this year of just being like, hey, like I know I'm doing everything I possibly can. So whatever result does come on the leaderboard, it's like, man, there's no doubt in my mind that was everything I had.
Yeah, that's a good reminder regarding that semifinal too, because I think that was a little bit of the discussion. Like, oh, this Hopper guy came and won, and beat the third fittest man on earth. But in retrospect, you had a great weekend, and then you went and had an even better week, at the games, and it showed. But well, I got one last question. I'm just curious how the puppy is. I've been seeing this.
Oh yeah,
I've been seeing this little fur ball running around on Instagram and on videos, and we're obviously a very pro dog podcast. So
love dogs here.
Yeah, man, it's been really good. I mean, with not doing Rogue and cutting back on travel, it's like, hey, if we're ever going to get a dog, now is kind of like the best time to do it. Like we're home. We can train the little guy, like it'll be set. And like, once the season rolls around, he'll still be like a puppy, but hopefully like he's trained well enough to like not be a problem, but it's been awesome. I mean, he's been great. I mean, I think it's just been like something to kind of like my gym is just right out there. I'm looking at it like it's 20 yards away, and we spend a lot of time just back and forth between here and there. So it's kind of nice having like a little outlet to kind of like have some fun with. Like he's always so pumped to see us, and it's been super fun.
What's his name? Where is he? What has he ruined?
No, honestly, he doesn't chew on things, which is like awesome, but he picks things up and like takes them everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like we'll be in the gym and I'm like, where's my watch? My watch is outside, my shaker bottle, one of my shoes, like my hip halo, like everything's just everywhere in the gym. He just takes it out. I think he's just trying to get attention. He's like, maybe if I take this, they'll get mad and come get me. But he just wants attention. He's like, oh my goodness, you're here. He's
what's his name?
Theo. Theodore is like, I guess, his actual name, but he's Theo.
It's a good name.
Solid dog name.
I like that.
Well, Justin, listen, man, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Really, always love talking to you and appreciate the honesty, and wish you best of luck moving forward. And I guess the next time we might see you is what? Wadapalooza? That's the next big one on the schedule? Other than the powerlifting.
No, for sure. I mean, the powerlifting meet I'll put it on my YouTube. I don't know if they're going to do like a live stream of it. I mean, it's like a local event in Boise, but we'll put a video out on my YouTube if anybody wants to follow along with the powerlifting meet. I think it's December 16th or something like that. Right. So put a video out like the week after it or something. But
if people are local to the area, where can they come cheer you on if they want to make a roadie to Boise?
I don't know. It's at some gym, but I'll be posting about it on social media and stuff, so people will know. Awesome. But should be good.
All right. Well, please say hi to the family for us, and looking forward to seeing you and the entire entourage soon, man. Take care.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
All right. There he goes, Justin Medeiros. What a good dude. Always love talking to Justin.
Awesome, dude. Always loved catching up with him.
Yeah. And looking forward to seeing him back in competition, man. I think that's it'd be fun seeing him at Wadapalooza, and I really can't wait to see what he's going to do with this sort of new fire going into the Open. You know,
We're so.
I feel
go ahead.
I feel like now Sean is going to manipulate all of our podium picks and just be texting Justin on the side like, yeah, we ranked you really low, knowing that he ranked him really high to give him all the fire so that Sean can win.
Hey, you know,
poisoned
I'm
by
not. I am not above that.
poisoned by our
I'm not
constituents.
above that. So yeah. All right, let's we'll just save PRs and no reps for later in the week. I just want to remind everybody about a couple things. First, about our sponsor Momentous. They're on the screen right now. You can go to livemomentous.com, use code ELITE, save 15% on all their products. They make awesome stuff, guys. Like they sent me some protein, some creatine, some recovery stuff.
Using their
super
carb
clean.
source.
Love
Yep.
it.
They even
Yeah.
have the Andrew Huberman collection, so you can go and click on the website, and it'll all of the stuff that they've worked in conjunction with him to develop and highlight and put together out on the market. So some good stuff out there.
Yeah. And you want to remind people about
Oh yes,
Yes.
Chad 1000. Quick community support. So Chad 1000X, Veterans Day, the Step Up Foundation, Go Ruck. They're all doing that together. This Veterans Day weekend is coming up, so it's a good way to get out, get a really tough workout in, a hero workout in, and I'll honor all of those who have served and continue to serve. So it's I had the chance to speak with Sarah Wilkinson, so Chad Wilkinson's wife, about a month ago.
Mhm.
And then this thing has really taken off. So it's a good cause, an even better workout and test.
Oh man,
So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, anytime between what, Friday and Monday, I guess, is Veterans Day weekend here in the States. So yeah, you can go. I mean, talking to another sponsor, if you download the Strongest app, you can get pacing strategies for that specifically, which is incredibly important when you have 1,000 reps.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, later in the week, we got Jacob Hepner. He'll be here. We'll record on Thursday with him. So our patrons, you guys will be able to hang out with Jacob. We're going to talk about the tactical games because he just won the national championship. And Lauren, you were there
2 times in a row now.
Looking to get a full debrief on that and how that whole thing went. There are a lot
Yeah.
of CrossFit athletes there. Like I recognize a bunch of people.
I can tell you about 80% of the people I spoke to there
Mhm.
either train CrossFit, are members of an affiliate, or own an affiliate. There is so much crossover, which is really cool to see. And the community felt similar to what we're all used to with CrossFit.
It feels like, just from watching the stuff that, by the way, great job covering all that stuff and getting those interviews. But it felt like
a learning curve.
It looked a lot like kind of where we were in 2010, maybe 2000, like just starting to.
People who have been around in CrossFit that long that were there were like, this is OG CrossFit at the ranch, at the games, before it's evolved into what it is now. So hearing that was kind of cool, and seeing their trajectory of the sport very similar to
Is that one of the
CrossFit.
shirts?
This is how. If you,
Other side. Yeah,
I
like the logo. That's
awesome.
How neat is that?
Our battery.
Are you guys? Your battery's
We're
exhausted.
still here. We're still here. This is gonna be audio.
I'm
only.
exhausted too. It's okay.
This is great video podcasting right here. But we just recorded an episode of Death By with Lauren, Justin Kotler, Chase Ingram,
And Jared Graybeal
was on there as well. You guys had a really great discussion about the stuff that's going on with Jada Coons and some other things. So that'll be out tomorrow. Our patrons can watch that actually now if you want to. Tommy's fixing the camera. I'm doing that old stretch. They're fixing this. And so we got that. That'll be out Wednesday. Audio will be out the day after that. And then we also are expecting tomorrow. There we go. Now we just got to focus. We're also expecting tomorrow. There's going to be some announcements, I think, regarding the game season that we'll be talking about as well. So a lot to come later on the week. But yeah, that's it. Nice work, Tommy. Good job. Official camera tech of Talking Elite Fitness. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it. Anything anybody wants to add here before we say see you later?
No, I thought there was like really good discussion on Death By for the Jada Coons stuff.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Again.
there we go.
I just died. All right. Well, that's going to do it. All right, everybody.
Go watch
camera's
it. You'll hear.
I'm tired of you people. All right, here we go. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can. Patreon.com/Talking Elite Fitness for Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez and the current black box you're looking at on your screen. I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other.